Hey guys, Michael Ketchen here with another episode of the Michael Ketchen Show, and joined by the Fantastic Four. I mean, we're all here. We're out in Scottsdale, Arizona for this amazing event, and I got these people to actually hang out with me. Some even flew in overnight.
Flew right in.
Matt was having so much FOMO, not being in the number 2 seat of all these episodes. You came all the way out here.
I did.
So not let you have all the fucking...
I had to make my presence known.
Yeah, so we got some first-time repeat guests. It's a lot of pressure, guys. Ian Bishop of Ops Academy and RevOps, and Xander Kempfu. Everybody just loves Xander. I don't know how to describe him. He's still raising that amazing $30 million for his amazing RV park that I'm so jealous that I just want to be involved in everything Xander does because he's amazing. So I wanted to say. We thought it'd be a good episode to get into for all of us because we just spent some time together in San Diego. Matt has some serious FOMO. He wasn't there.
I heard amazing things.
Yes. And we could go so many places with this, but the first thing I want to talk about to start this episode, and we'll kind of get into businesses and how it kind of works into all of us, but we always have that buzzword, right? Your network is your net worth. Everyone says it. Well, what does it mean? What I mean for me and my business personally is the growth I get out of weekends like we just spent together. I come home and I'm ready to just climb the tallest mountain. I'm ready to just conquer the world. And it's because I'm getting around like-minded individuals that are pouring gasoline on my business and what we're doing. But that's my perspective. What do you guys think it's like being in the rooms? I mean, you guys were there. What was it like? What was the energy like? I mean, good.
Hey, it was absolutely electric. And my biggest takeaway from it was just the ability to reset what you think is possible. Because if you're at a certain level and you're striving to get, a level of growth, then you get into a room or around a group of people where that level of growth is below where they hit. And now they're striving for multiple levels above that. Now that stretch goal that you had is no longer a stress. It's like, oh, I'm kind of behind. Like I gotta get my stuff together.
I gotta get my shit together. I gotta get moving here.
Yeah. Maybe I can get to my bigger goal. And it's just like, oh, well, that's not hard. Those guys did it. Like, why, game on.
100%. And when you're kind of in there as the facilitator and an entrepreneur yourself and a business owner, you work with Matt and our team. You work with some other people in the group. I don't think you've worked with necessarily with Xander directly yet. You've always worked with the masterminds. What is it like being on both sides of the aisle there? What do you get out of that?
Oh man, I always feel like I have the best deal out of the whole gig. Where it's like, I tell my kids, because, I try to keep them involved in like, what's dad doing kind of thing. I'm like, man, you're not going to believe this. I got the best deal out of the whole room. Like I'm coming in to do this, but I still get to be there. I get to hear everything. I get to be a part of it. So I always feel like I've got the best seat in the house.
You're kind of going and taking advantage of it. Yeah. Well, I'm going to give him a compliment on air that I told him privately, because I don't know if you even connect this. I was saying it last night to him in the kitchen because I said it to him. We started working with Ian about 14 months ago. Right? And this is for all the people, is coaching worth it? Well, fucktard. Like, it's worth it if you put into it what you get out of it with the mindset. And it hit me because we just had to recently update. I don't know if you know this real estate term or not, but we had to update our SREO and our PFS. And 14 months ago, I basically had the comparisons.
There's a correlation.
Yeah. Our net worth doubled in 14 months. And Ian was a critical part of that. And thinking bigger and getting the rooms, meeting guys like yourself, Xander, and getting through it. I mean, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
Last year and a half. And I mean, I don't even know where to.
Well, even this, obviously you guys went and did this group meetup. But when you guys do that type of stuff, like, even though I'm not there, obviously I learn a lot through you, but two, it's just all the connections that you make when you're there.
Oh yeah.
I end up feeding off of that, and I get to connect with those people and learn their stories and get to learn their experiences, all that. So it's crucial to what Power Business has gone so far.
Oh yeah.
And had a really similar experience of the beginning of 2024 was the first time that I started really investing in myself. Mm-hmm. And I joined 2 mastermind groups, ours being one, and I brought on an advisor.
Yep.
And between those and the conferences I went to that year, I spent probably $120,000 just on myself. But what that equated to was going from essentially a one-man shop. I always have partners and contractors and things, but effectively a one-man shop to completely pivoting our business strategy. Now it's 20 people. So from one person with some contract, now I have 20 formal employees.
That's just running a company.
Running a formal company. Instead of just investing in real estate, now we have systems of operations. Yeah. We have a whole different strategy that we're going to the moon with.
Yep. And how much are you working more or less right now?
We're getting there.
Oh, he couldn't take it all away, right? It's like they lock in Paulie, do less. You know what I mean?
But I will say it's very much in line. And the work, I will give you, the work that I'm doing is 10 times more effective.
Oh yeah.
Those pro level, it's more meaningful. Those lower level tasks, we've delegated, we've systematized.
You kind of rolled it all out and done it. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And that makes all the difference in the world too when you're doing it. Because when Ian, like I said this to Ian last night, we're all hanging out, and I was like, when we first came on with EOS and all this stuff, and it's like I'm in a room with guys who are just so much farther along in their journey than we are, that we think are just smarter than us because they're doing bigger things, and they're telling you to do something, and you can turn around. Now you have a resource, the network. Like, we didn't know what the fuck EOS was 15 months ago. I remember telling you in hand, I'm like, there's this guy, he wants this money. I don't know fuck all, but Brandon and Jason said he's a guy to do. So I'm like, all right, let's talk to him. He seems okay. T-shirts were a little tight, but he was doing all right. Well, then we get talking, and it's like, oh my God, well, this opened up this opened up this. It got us into capital. And like, now we're in the middle of like we came into the year, like we said all the time, we came into the year, our AUM, our ownership, our properties under management, whatever you want to call it, was about 100 million, right? With some of the STRs and the multifamily, but around 100 million. This year, just on multifamily alone, our goal is to do 100 to 120 million. So you're doubling, right? But you're taking an 8-year journey and you're doubling in 12 months. Mm-hmm. And we fully believe we're going to get there. Like, it's not like it's to get into manifestation, which we'll touch on here in a second. It's like, it's already happened. Mm-hmm. We're there. Now it's doing the work. And I believe the biggest takeaway in all these rooms that I don't think it's discussed enough, because everyone's always like, oh, coaching, is this guy legit? I see him on social media. There are a lot of bad gurus. But if you show up with the mindset and you get into the room and you make it happen, it gives you guidance and the confidence to say, okay, I can walk this path, and I might not have all the answers, but I have resources now of people I can lean on, right? I can talk operations. I can talk to people raising equity. I can talk to people who are building businesses bigger than ours. And you're right, you got to pay to play. I mean, it's funny you tell that story, because it was the same exact experience for us. When the 50 launched, that year we had done the other mastermind down in Houston. We spent the money on the 50, and I got a mindset coach. So we spent as a company probably about 90 grand, and things just started snowballing, but we were ready for it, right? What is like, EOS, implementation, all these things we're seeing. I know you're doing a lot with Ops Academy. What are some of like the pitfalls? We talked about this a little bit last night at dinner. What are some of the pitfalls you see between the guys that are in the room this weekend in San Diego? And for context, it was probably, it had to be at least $1 billion worth of property. I'm pretty confident. And
there was a session, I was doing some rough math, and it was like, yeah, we're definitely over $1 billion.
Yeah, I think so. I really do. And the net worth alone's got to be at least half. And we had some Navy SEALs come in. It was unbelievable. But what do you see between the guys reaching out to you to say, I don't know what I know, I want to hire you, versus the guys in that room? What kind of advice, and give us the 30-second kind of sales pitch why I would work with you to be the guy in that room? Because I've got messaged by guys who want to be in that room. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's so much a sales pitch, but I think the one area, and we talked a little bit about it this weekend, that is the big difference is kind of that 2X versus 10X mentality.
Yeah.
Right? The guys who are going like, hey, I don't know what I don't know, but I know that I want to leapfrog and just go exponential, as opposed to like, I'm just going to make the next step or the next hire.
Yeah.
The one thing I always find interesting, like within the real estate investor community, is the approach that you guys take towards employees and team members is nothing like how you approach like a project or a building. So like, if you,
what do you mean by that?
So
that's all assholes in this tool.
No. What I'm saying, more so than like from the perspective of like, this didn't work or I made a mistake. When you make a mistake, like on a project, you're like, okay, that didn't work. So next time we do it, we'll do it this way. And a lot of you guys, it's like when you have people or team members, or you hire a VA or an EA or something like that, and it's like, oh, I had this person, it didn't work. And there's so many guys who are just like, well, just never doing that again. And I'm like, dude, you would have never taken that approach when it came to buying your second deal, your third deal, your fourth deal. You like,
we're at the event with PSC Underwriting, to your point. And like Xander's literally one of like the smartest people I know, because I'm serious. It's because you're an engineer, but you're also an entrepreneur. And that is a dangerous combination. Fair. And it's because usually those two extreme brains don't I'm like way the fuck out here, right? And it's like I'm over here and I'm like, details, who cares? We'll figure it out. We've got Hannah, Matt will be the guiding force. The three of us will figure it out, right? And you can blend the two. But what you said, I was giving you credit. So we brought in shout out to Alkaline Advisors, group working with us for financial modeling. We'll drop in the show notes how to get a hold of them, Pierce and his team. But this network, this mastermind was amazing, because we're like, hey, the guys in this room are the value. So we kind of flipped it. We turned it sideways. And we wanted to have people come to us that might be good people to add to everyone's team, right? So he comes in and he's walking through the financial modeling, and Xander, unlike us, can do all this on a spreadsheet. But you said, tell us about your aha moment after you talked to Pierce and got connected and saw what he was doing around the spreadsheets and doing that yourself.
I think it was exactly that 10x growth. You know, my initial resistance to bringing in basically a solid analyst team was, well, I can do that. And a lot of my thought process goes into it when I do that modeling out. But as everyone was talking, I'm sitting there thinking, it's like, I could do that, but this is the same thought that, very junior real estate people have with, oh, I could flip a house. I could cut the grass. I could go do drywall. Just because I can do it, like if I want to go to where I want to get to, which is not working 60 hours a week, it's having a systematized company that scales where I'm focusing on the strategic. If I want to be talking to large capital partners and negotiating deals and setting strategy, I can't be doing that, just like I can't be cutting the grass and the drywall.
Yep.
So that was that click of like, oh, I can bring in some really high quality guys to go do this thing. That's another piece to my ecosystem that I can delegate and have handled and trust that it's good.
Yep.
So now I get that mental energy back and can go redeploy that into bigger things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something there because like, Dan Martell talks about this where he says like, don't buy back your time until you know what you're going to do with it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of
You
guys,
walked us through that exercise.
yeah,
The chart?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys make that mistake, and especially in real estate, a lot of guys get into real estate for the lifestyle and the freedom, and so they start buying back their time for just lifestyle and freedom, and it's like, okay, that's not how the equation works.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get where you want to get, and so the guys I notice that have a true like North Star, where they're like, hey, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm growing, this is why we're doing it, and they have a mission. It makes it so much more obvious when they do start doing the things to hire on people, bring in experts, buy back their time. It's like, oh, I'm now freeing up this time to be able to lean into the thing that I'm best at, or where it makes the biggest impact in the business, right? The highest ROI activities, raising capital, instead of, okay, well, I freed this time up, so now I can go on another trip or not have to work. I think a lot of times that message gets perpetuated in real estate investing.
Yeah.
And so it kind of creates a false direction for people. And that actually is the biggest thing that holds them back.
Yeah. And well, everybody, and I was throw it to you in a second, because I think we go through that a lot in our business. Like we've talked about it before, but everyone sees the outcome. They don't look at the process, right? They want the result. They don't want the work. And like I was thinking about, we were talking about it yesterday. I told you what Ian said about the leasing and the marketing and stepping back in. And that would have been the safe space, right? That would have been like, okay, well, Matt, just go do this. But it's like, okay, if our leasing activity improves 5%, it makes us feel warm and fuzzy. But if that costs us a deal or anything else around buying a brand new deal, what does that do? So that was a big revelation, but
It's not like if I stepped in, it wouldn't have moved the delta that much. It would have to a certain degree, but at the same time, having like the team that we have, they're doing a sufficient job. We like it. Yeah, it's great. But
so
if I step back,
very light word used by Matthew there.
it's not going
He's
to.
up at night training fucking JJ like I'm going to yoke them all.
But yeah, they're not going to do as good of a job as I am, just because I'm the owner of the company. Like me stepping in, I'm going to be like, okay, 2 a.m. Like, who do I got to lease this year?
Mhm.
Like, I'm going to get in there. But I think what we put in place is great. I do think that there's room for improvement. But yeah, me stepping into that role is not the way that we grow the company. It's just keeping the company afloat, so to speak.
Yeah. And that's what holds a lot of people back too, because when you bring somebody else in to take over a role that you've been doing previously, there's usually two things that actually make it like not as good as it was when you were doing it. And one is you as the owner just have a different level of motivation,
Yeah.
right? Like you just have a tenacity about it that they aren't
You
going
own
to
it.
have.
It's extreme ownership.
Yeah. And so that's a component of it. But then the other one is like the person that you hire to do that role is typically an employee. And so they value safety, security, stability. So they're going to move at a little bit slower
That's what's
pace.
eye-opening to me.
So like there's one, the level of ownership and tenacity that goes into it, but also just the fact that like the person that you want to bring in for that role is probably a little bit more like reliable, a little slower pace, maybe a little more detail oriented. And so you're going to get like this like double hit because now they no longer have the motivation incentive that you did. And they also move slower than you do. And so like the results seem very different than what it looked like when you were doing it. And so it's really hard to pull the trigger and make that jump.
It's also hard to convey like how high the stakes are. Like, right. Like, so when we started small, we have a deadline on a refinance. That refinances implications on our friends and families like money when we started small.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, right, like the people that are in the position doing what I do, they don't have that same concept. I mean, we could tell them like, hey, we have a refinance coming up. Like they understand it, but they don't really understand a lot of the nuance behind it. And that's one of the bigger driving factors of why I was like, okay, it's 2 a.m. Like you gotta get this unit filled.
Yeah, you're also just a sicko. But that also like goes back to like what we're working on right now. Like you get around the people you're spending time with. So we're at this event in San Diego, and you guys came up to Arizona. So we're having a conversation last night around the fire, and it's another one of these concepts, right? Who, not how. And we're talking about how we're adding a financial modeler now. We brought in a president of property management to free us up even more there to grow the business to high dollar activities. Now we're realizing we've got to actually build out an investor relations role, right? Because right now we're doing it all clunky. So that's the next vertical. And I think there's a mindset shift when you own a business versus just being a real estate investor. Because now that's just a dollar figure, right? It's like, okay, I got to hire that role. I got to build out that SOP. There's some work up front. But once that's done, that's off our plate. And we're back to that next trip, that intentional lifestyle. We held on to that, which, you know, if you haven't checked out Who Not How, I definitely recommend it. But what are some ways in which, Matt, I'm going to throw it to you first, and then Zane, I want to go to you, Ian. How is the whole concept of Who Not How has that impacted the business and your growth over the last couple of years?
Oh, I mean, tremendous. I mean,
Tremendy.
I mean, we've realized kind of slowly as we've gone that, you know that when you're running the company, you can't do everything yourself. What is going on over here?
I don't know. He blocking my shot.
Why are you? We are.
Yeah, wait for the episode, and all of a sudden,
Wait a minute. You have a problem? Yeah, you have a problem with the pole in your face? I hadn't heard. I heard the opposite of you, Ian. I heard there was no issues or concerns there going on.
Well, yeah, to the Who Not How.
It's the Michael Ketchen show.
Yeah, I think that for us, it was we're investing in real estate, and that was it. Now that we're running a company, trying to actually hire the right people to come in, or not even hire, but contracting out and connecting with the people that know how to do things a lot better. We're never going to be able to know every single aspect that there is of running a company.
Yeah.
But that's why you bring on those strong players to help facilitate, like a Pierce.
Yeah.
Or an Alex.
I mean, we were talking about this last night. I was telling you, like, a lot of the real estate investors that I've worked with, we typically do like a DISC assessment, and we do a couple other assessments and stuff just for the team and all that. But what I always find so interesting is typically the leader in the organization or the real estate investor that started it, they're always a D and an I, like a DI or an ID.
We're always dicks.
But what's interesting to me, like if you connect the dots, like the skill set that somebody has as a DI on the DISC, is that they've got the people skills, they're fast movers. So what does that lead to when you're getting started in real estate? Well, that means they're probably pretty good at making the connections to be able to raise capital. And they're probably pretty good at building the relationships with brokers to be able to do acquisitions.
Yep.
Or wholesalers, or whatever that looks like. And so to your point, those skills do really well to get you started, but then like don't translate at all to running a business with a full team. Yeah. So it's like you can get real estate
100% completely.
You use this phrase. You're like, I'm a fantastic real estate investor. I'm still learning how to become a great business owner.
Yeah.
And I think it's because that skill set that helps you become great at real estate, not a lot of it translates over to the business side of things when it comes to team and management and systems and processes and operations.
So from the EMET also, it's in a business, you have the entrepreneur, the technician, and manager. Yeah, entrepreneur, the technician.
He's got to quote the book. He's like, well, I better remember this line before I go.
That's But the book talks about a pie shop, but it's the exact same thing. Like real estate operators, we're the technicians. We're really good at operating real estate. Just because you can find a deal and put the equity together and finance it and property management, that's a totally different skill set than the leadership and organization of being a manager.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is the stair step I find with a lot of clients is that most guys that I start with are just like you guys, where they've got like 8 to 15 people. I think when we first started, you guys were at like 8 or 9.
Right around there.
Like very like prototypical. And so what happens is usually it's one layer management. Like it's you and then everybody else.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'll ask guys like, how many employees do you have? How many report to you? And if they have like a clean number, they're like, oh, I've got 15 employees, 4 report to me. I'm like, awesome, cool. Pull out your phone for me real quick. Show me your emails, texts, and phone calls from the last 7 days and tell me how many people from your company are in there. Because it'll be like, oh, there's 9. It's like, so you don't have 4 direct reports, you have 9 direct reports.
Or when you start with Ian, you don't even know what a direct report is. I'm like, I talk to everybody when the fuck I want. I'm like, I don't know you know what I mean? What I'm doing.
But to Xander's point, it's like, it's a much different skill or managerial practice to manage the person who is managing the people that do the thing versus just managing the person that does the thing.
Yeah.
Right. So like managing the leasing agent is different than managing the leasing manager that manages the leasing agent.
Yeah.
And so having that layer removed a lot of times is the other like disconnect that I see, where guys are used to just doing it all themselves. And then they start to step out and they hire somebody to do the thing, but then they don't know how to manage the person that's managing the people that do the thing.
Dude, the training behind it, right? Like the systems, the SOPs, like we're still, and the thing about real estate in particular, and I hope every real estate investor gets this nugget. If you want to buy real estate and build some wealth, you can do that as a real estate investor. If you want to have an intentional life that real estate provides, you are a business owner that owns real estate. And it's very much a distinction. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to start taking other people's money, whether that's debt or equity, because eventually if you're in real estate long enough, you are going to hit a ceiling. I mean, we met a gentleman this weekend that has a business spitting off a couple $1 million a year in cash flow. Guess what he's doing? Buying real estate. We met another guy that's had a $300 million exit. Guess what he's doing? Buying real estate. It's where everyone's going to end up, because it's how you preserve and create wealth. You don't get you don't get wealthy from a transaction. You get rich. Wealthy is an individual, is what we talked about, right? But knowing that you're going to build that business, knowing you have those pitfalls, if you're not going to have to fill in those gaps, you will eventually break. And it's either, literally that is, I guess, the E-myth technically, right? Because it's like, you're going to hit a ceiling where you're either going to go back to a small company, or you're going to grow this massive intentional life. And kind of where I was going with that was, the coaching and the mastermind, being okay with knowing what you don't know. And the whole concept of what got you here won't get you there. Like what you said at the start of this. The last thing I kind of wanted to touch on the time we have together, is the power of manifestation and arriving. And I'll start with a story I just went through with this group and showing where it shows up, because I think it's something that everybody can do, regardless of where you're at in your journey, regardless of what you're doing, what your goals are. It's going to evolve with you. But we were together. I was with my wife at a group with a couple of guys from this group 6-7 months ago now. 8 or 9 months ago. And we go around a fire pit. We're asked some questions, and someone says, "Hey, what's your big goal?" I said, it just came to me. I said, I'm going to have my Montana ranch sometime around the end of the year. Like, I'm going to do that. And then you guys, actually all 3 of you were out in Montana with me this winter, and we walked a property, and I was trying to force it because I just knew I wanted one. I was trying to force it. And Xander said to me, I'm having it hard all weekend. He's going, Mike, I think the trajectory you're on, like a couple of years from now, you might want something else. And I was going to settle. I was going to settle with that property. Fast forward.
And to pump your tires.
Oh, here we go. Oh, jeez.
He doesn't need it. He doesn't
A
need
few years from now, you're going to be 10 times bigger than this property. So something that's
True. Thank you, Xander. So the last day, I hit up one of my agent buddies out there. We go by this property, and it's everything I've wanted that is almost impossible to get around Bozeman. I have river access on my property. I have a creek on my property, and I have unobstructed mountain views. We closed Thursday, and I spoke that into existence, and I became that. And I really believe the manifestation shows up. It doesn't mean you just say, I want to win the lottery. It happens. But if you recondition your brain to believe you are that person, that you've arrived, that it's going to work out, you don't need to have all the answers, but you're going to be that person. More often than not, you're going to be in that place and you're going to receive that. But mentally, you got to be that person to receive it. That's how it's impacted my business. I don't know if you guys got any experience with manifestation, but I know it's a big thing I want people to take away.
Yeah, and I think it's a big difference between in how you approach that.
Mm-hmm.
Big difference between manifesting something and acting that way versus just, okay, I want $1 billion someday.
Yep.
You're throwing the ball out there, begging you guys down, and then you go back to doing the same thing that you did yesterday.
Yep.
That's a totally different thing. The idea of the manifesting is not just making it real in your head, but it's also starting to behave in that way. Because if you say, okay, I'm going to own a ranch in Montana, well, now every single day you should approach how you interact with things in that way. And that's, I think, the real power of manifesting, is you're resetting your brain to act as if you already did something, because that way you're making yourself now be the person that you want to be in the future.
That's beautiful. That's why you're the voice of God. I can't. Good luck with you two following up on that. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, I mentioned it this weekend actually. So I just finished a book called "Be Your Future Self Now." It's a couple years old, but it's by Ben Hardy,
The link to that in the Amazon store.
dude. And so Ben wrote a couple of books with Dan Sullivan, Who Not How, 10x Season 2x, Gap and Gain, and they're all phenomenal. But he wrote a book solo called "Be Your Future Self Now," and it's a little bit more on the like logical side of things compared to like the other one we looked at was Joe Dispenza's Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Yep.
And I really love Ben's book, and I was reading it leading up to, I hosted that event in January, and it was the first event that I did solo by myself. And
Were you nervous? Was Ian nervous?
you know what? The difference between being excited and being nervous is the amount of preparation that goes in.
Oh my!
And so I was just excited.
Kind of the coach of that, and now that's for Ops Academy. Ian Bishop, 888. Get fucked. Like I don't know.
But really, I look at stuff like that of like, man, I went through every session that we did. I went through every night before bed. Like I knew the questions. I knew what was going to happen. I knew at the end of the event that you were going to come up and say, oh, this is the best event I've ever been to. Like I could see all of that stuff.
He manifested dreaming about me.
And that in stepping into that, one of the big pieces was thinking about, man, being the guy at the front of the room running the show. Like, what does it look like to step into that? And, you know, and this might come across a little more like surface level, but one of the things was like, that dude doesn't weigh 220 pounds.
Yeah.
And so just in the time from, I think when I decided, when you kind of poked me and said, you need to do this, I think it was October. And so from November until middle of January, when that event started, I lost 25 pounds.
Yeah, you did.
Because in my head, I was like, the guy that's running this event looks like this, acts like this, has these kind of habits, wakes up at this time, eats like this, goes to bed at this time, reads this much, like is preparing. And I would say like peak in terms of like my mental state going into that. I felt so prepared.
Yep.
I had a ton of confidence going into it. I was excited about it. I wasn't nervous, stressed, any of that. I got done because we did that event and then we had the 50 right after.
Yeah.
And
It's a long week.
So like you were at both. I got done, I think, you know, because you got a couple of days of prep leading up to it and then the days after. And so for me, I think it was like, ended up being like 10 or 12 days straight between those two events back to back. And I had multiple people that would come up to me and they're like, man, you must be so tired. You must be exhausted. Man, you did both these events back to back. Because some nights, like, you're not going to bed until 1, 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then you're
And
getting
you're
up
thinking all day.
and you're thinking all
deep
day. And you're getting up.
critical thinking.
Yeah. And then it's not like, oh, roll out of bed and just show up. Because when you're part of running it, it's like, okay, I got to get up at 6 and just, you know, go work out or get a little sweat in just so that my brain gets going. So you're operating on, you know, 4 or 5 hours of sleep and then doing it every day. I got to the end of it. People were like, oh, you must be exhausted. You must be so tired. And I was like, dude, I could do 3 more of these.
Yeah, you're
like, it energizes me. I get jacked up on it. Like, yeah,
they saw me right. I think you came the day after, but Matt was in Montana and his wife, shout out to Amy, were there. And Amy's never seen me go from like, you dropped me in a room full of high achieving entrepreneur real estate geeks. And you want to see me like on a dopamine level, like doing, but I walked into Montana and I just felt like, I mean, I was ready. I was like, what is Mike on?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. So we went from the 50 and then we went to Montana.
Yeah.
And then I went and did a quarterly offsite for a group. So I really did do like 3 weeks straight. And I was great.
Well, because that's our high, right? And it's like the manifestation. Like Matt's always good at this, like the martial arts, the mindset, and getting into that. And it's like it's so powerful. Yeah.
I mean, even the small, like this is a small one that I'm actually doing this month. It's Make Your Bed March.
Oh yeah. Wait, what? Make your bed, Marge. Just start off with some kind of.
So I wake up, I brush my teeth and everything because I've gotten away from making my bed in the morning, and I just feel like it's like it's a super small thing, right?
Maybe a check in the box.
But you're setting yourself up for a successful day because you're putting effort into the day right off.
So I love that.
I like that because I hate making the bed. Mostly because, not because I hate making the bed, I don't like getting into a made bed. Like I go to a hotel and I untuck all the covers.
I love that, like tight, snug, you know.
You're in a wise. I feel like you probably have like.
Yeah, you need a little airflow.
Oh my God. I bet the Yak has 1,000 pillows on the bed. It's not.
Yeah, the kick clothes off. Give me just a sheet so that I'm
one piece that's probably impactful. If you have thought about this or not, but by doing a habit like that, because I've heard that, like make your bed in the morning, you talked about, and by doing something and succeeding in it, now the mental gain that you get of, oh, I accomplished something today. All right, what next am I going to accomplish?
Yeah,
I already crushed one thing. It's fallen easy, but I did something and I like game on. What's next?
Yeah, I can love that.
We had a mutual friend of ours, Nico's a naval officer.
Yeah.
And he made a comment to me one time. He said, he was talking about the snooze button, and it was just kind of like in passing, but he was so dead serious that I was like, oh gosh. He was like, don't you dare touch that snooze button.
Oh yeah,
He was like,
can I tell you a
he was,
freaky
like,
stat?
intense about it. I was like, oh,
Listen,
man, I need to rethink my life.
My wife Hannah, who will be on the show here in a couple of weeks. One of her things in life, I don't know if you know, she can tell it today. Hannah has never hit the snooze button in her life. She'll tell you from the time of childhood, she has never. I've been with her now for 20 years. Been living together for about 14. I have never seen a person. She never does it. She's never missed it. She springs out of bed the second the alarm goes off. She's never hit the snooze button once in her life. And if you think about disciplined people in my life, she is damn near the top. Her and Matt are up there, and there's something about that mindset. I'm just dragging behind the dead weight. But listen, this is amazing. We're up against it. I've got a lot of people to get in touch with. Ian, where can people reach out and get a hold of you and get some more info with you?
Instagram, LinkedIn, the RevOps Coach. You can go to my website, therevopscoach.com, opsacademy.com. Got a couple different avenues.
Yeah, and if you guys type in, can we do like a bonus code thing? Can you guys got that set up for your messaging yet?
Yeah, so, well, for messaging?
Yeah, we'll figure out a way to do it. Like, just do a bet on yourself. Try to give the people a discount here.
Yeah, so
you've been on here twice.
Actually,
fuck's sakes. You know what I mean?
I set this up actually for the event tonight. So if you're a real estate investor and you're interested in working with me, I actually set up a discount code.
Of course you did.
Bet on yourself. So if you put in betting,
like I said,
bet on yourself, it'll give you a
Xander's like, damn, I should have got you. Xander Kemp, where can people get a hold of you?
I'm on LinkedIn, Xander Kemp, and then clearsummitinvestments.com.
All right. Well, as you know, he's Matthew Hitchcock. I'm Michael Ketchen. Until next time, bet on yourself.